The dress in the windowth wind was soft that morning in Los Angeles, brushing gently against the glass panels of the boutique on Sunset Boulevard. Inside, lights shimmered off a delicate blue evening gown that hung quietly behind the front window. It wasn't loud or flashy, didn't need to be. The way it caught the light made it feel like it belonged in a story, not on a mannequin. Ana de Armas stood across the street, her hands buried deep in the pockets of her oversized coat. The coat was warm, but her shoulders still trembled. Maybe it was the nerves. Maybe it was something deeper. She'd seen the dress 3 times this week. Each time she'd told herself she wouldn't stop. But each time she did. Today she stayed longer. It was a designer piece. Not the kind of thing actors on a tight budget could afford before a breakthrough role, not even with payment plans. Ana had just finished her final audition for a role that could change everything. A new film with a legendary director, and rumors said Keanu Reeves was already signed on. She hadn't met him yet. The director had only nodded at her performance and thanked her politely. No feedback, no hint, nothing. But now she stood here, staring at a dress she knew would be perfect. If she got the part, it wasn't about vanity. It was about arriving at the premiere as if she belonged. Not to impress anyone, but to remind herself that she was no longer invisible. Inside the boutique, the shop assistant noticed her, but didn't move. Maybe she thought Ana was just another dreamer. Ana turned away before the sadness in her eyes gave her away. Across town, Keanu Reeves sat alone at a quiet rooftop cafe, sipping tea. He had already seen the final audition tapes. He recognized Ana instantly. Her eyes had carried something he hadn't seen in years, hunger mixed with grace, and a strange kind of quiet pain that made her performance real. Not rehearsed, not polished. Raw. He knew that pain. He'd carried it too once. The director had asked Keanu for his thoughts on the top 3 actresses. He didn't hesitate. The second one, he said softly. Ana. The call hadn't gone out yet. They were still deciding. But Keanu had already made a silent promise to himself. If she got the role, he'd make sure she felt seen. Truly. Seen. 2 days later, Ana got the call. She didn't scream or cry. She just whispered, "Thank you," over and over, as tears rolled down her face. She hung up, pressed her hand to her mouth, and stood completely still. Then she remembered the dress. She walked into the boutique for the first time. The lights were even brighter inside. The air smelled like lavender and something expensive. She stepped carefully, as if she didn't want to disturb the silence. "Can I help you?" the assistant asked politely. Ana's eyes stayed on the dress. "How much is it?" The number made her breath catch in her throat. "It's okay," she said quickly. "Thank you. Would you like to try it on anyway?" the assistant asked, her tone changing now that she recognized Ana's face from recent press buzz. Ana shook her head with a smile. "Maybe someday." She turned and walked out. She didn't look back. That evening, Keanu stepped into the same boutique. He didn't say much. He never did. He just looked at the dress, nodded once, and made a call from outside the store. "Please don't tell her," he said into the phone. "Just set it aside. I'll take care of everything." Didn't leave a name. The next morning, Ana received a call from the boutique. "Miss de Armas," the assistant said, almost breathless. We've had a bit of a surprise. Someone has taken care of the dress for you. It's yours now." Ana froze. "What?" "We don't know." "Who?" they asked to remain anonymous. "But it's yours. Whenever you're ready to pick it up." Ana stared at the wall. Her heart pounded. Her hands began to shake. "Thank you," she whispered. When she walked into the boutique that day, the assistant greeted her with a kind smile. "It's waiting for you in the fitting room," she said. Ana stepped inside. The dress was more beautiful up close. But what made her break down in tears wasn't the fabric or the stitching. It was the quiet note left in the pocket. "You belong here, don't." Forget that. There was no name, no signature. But somehow she knew. Keanu had made a silent call, and that silent act changed everything. Whispers behind the curtain. Ana stood in front of the mirror, wearing the blue dress. The fabric wrapped around her like a memory she never knew she needed. It was the first time she felt like she truly belonged in this world that often seemed too fast, too polished, too cruel. She ran her fingers along the hem and took a deep breath. She didn't know who had gifted it. No name, no clue. Just that quiet note in the pocket. You belong here. Don't forget that. It echoed in her mind like a whisper, steadying her heart before her first table read. The table read was held at a private studio in Hollywood Hills. The room was filled with people she had admired from a distance. Producers, the director, seasoned actors. Everyone was seated when Anna walked in. And then there was Keanu. He sat quietly at the far end, reviewing the script. He didn't speak much. His presence was calm, almost gentle. But when Anna entered the room, his eyes lifted and paused on her. He gave a small smile. Not a wide one. Just enough to say, "You're welcome," without words. She nodded softly in return. Something passed between them. Not romance, not admiration, but recognition. Like two people who had walked through quiet pain and somehow found each other standing on the same side of healing, the director called everyone to focus. The script was new, still raw. Emotions ran high as they started reading the scenes. Anna was nervous, her hands cold under the table. But when it was her turn to speak, something shifted. Her voice didn't shake. Her eyes stayed firm. She became the character. Scene after scene, she read with truth. And when the table fell silent after one emotional monologue, Anna felt herself return to her own skin, breathless. And then she heard it, a slow clap. It came from Keanu. Not loud, just steady. Respectful, others joined in, but it was his that mattered most. He didn't just clap for her performance. He clapped because he saw her. After the read, while the others went for coffee and light conversation, Anna stepped outside. She needed air. The sky was cloudy. It smelled like rain. A few seconds later, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned. It was Keanu. "You were good," he said simply. Anna smiled. "I didn't think anyone noticed how scared I was." "I noticed," he said. "But I also saw how you didn't let it stop you." She paused. "Can I ask you something?" He nodded. "Was it you?" "The dress." Keanu looked at her for a long moment, then said, "Does it matter who did it?" She smiled. "Maybe not." He nodded. "Then just wear it. Own the moment. Sometimes that's enough." He turned and walked back inside. Anna stood there for a few seconds longer. The wind picked up, brushing her hair across her face. It wasn't just a dress anymore. It was a promise. Rehearsals began the following week. They were long, difficult, and sometimes emotionally draining. The script demanded honesty. The scenes pushed everyone into vulnerable spaces. Keanu, who played the quiet protector in the film, had long monologues filled with silence, grief, and restraint. Anna had scenes where she had to collapse emotionally and then rise again. They often stayed late. Sometimes only the two of them remained on set. In those moments, Keanu offered her quiet support, not by saying too much, but by listening. He had a way of knowing when to speak and when to simply be there. Once, after a heavy rehearsal, Anna sat on the floor backstage, her back against the wall. Her face was buried in her hands. Keanu walked over and sat beside her. "You okay?" he asked softly. "I don't know," she whispered. "Sometimes I still feel like I don't belong here." He didn't argue. He just said, "I used to feel that way too." For a long time, she looked at him. "How did you get past it?" "I stopped trying to prove anything," he said. "I just started showing up for the story. The story matters more than the noise." Those words stayed with her. A few days later, during a rehearsal break, Anna overheard two actors talking in low voices near the dressing rooms. They didn't notice she was behind the corner. "You know, she only got the dress because someone took pity on her, right?" "Probably. Trying to look like she fits in. Must be nice having someone like Keanu notice you." Anna stepped back slowly, her chest tightening. Their laughter echoed faintly behind her. She didn't say anything. She didn't confront them. Instead, she walked straight to the rooftop. The city stretched far beyond the horizon. She closed her eyes and tried to breathe. For a moment, all the old doubts came rushing back. The girl standing outside a window, the one who couldn't afford the dress. The one who felt like she was pretending. And then she heard the door open behind. Keanu walked over and stood beside her. "You heard them," he said gently. She nodded. "Doesn't matter," he added. "It does to me," she whispered. Then, "You can let it hurt for a little," he said, "but only for a little. Because the truth is, they don't know your story. They don't know the nights you stayed up practicing, the roles you didn't get, or how you kept going when it made. No sense to—" He paused. "And they don't get to define what you've earned." Anna's eyes filled with tears. Not from sadness, but from release. She didn't want pity. She wanted to be seen for who she was, someone who fought to be here. That weekend, the cast was invited to a charity gala organized by the studio. It was their first public appearance as part of the film. Anna wore the blue dress. She walked into the ballroom with her head high. People turned, cameras clicked. But what mattered most was that when she looked up, Keanu was already at the far end of the room, smiling. He didn't wave. He didn't speak. But in that silence, she felt stronger. Not because he had given her something, but because he had reminded her of what she already had. As the music played and people danced, Anna stood, quietly near the balcony, away from the noise. A young intern approached her. Nervous, excited, eyes wide. "Miss Anna," she said, "I just wanted to say you were the reason I applied to film school. I saw you in that short film 3 years ago. Thought if she can do it, maybe I can too." Anna smiled warmly and held her hand. "Thank you. You just made my whole night." Just like that, she realized something. Someone was watching her from across a screen once, feeling what she had once felt. Someone else who didn't belong, who needed to believe. They could, and now Anna was their silent phone call. Storms don't ask permission. Days leading to the first shoot were full of light rehearsals, press meetings, and fittings. But behind the scenes, pressure began to build, like a quiet storm no one wanted to talk about, studios whispered. About changes, producers kept pacing. And rumors floated that the film's budget was under review. Anna felt it in the air, that same heaviness she'd felt in the past. Just before something went wrong. On the surface, everything looked perfect. She had the role, the dress, and the quiet respect of her team. But something had shifted. One morning, while fixing her makeup before a promo interview, Anna overheard a producer speaking outside the trailer. "Look, if the studio pulls back funding, we might have to recast. Maybe go with a bigger name, international pull. Someone guaranteed to draw numbers." Anna froze. It wasn't a confirmation, but it was enough. She sat still, the brush paused midair, staring at her reflection. Again, the question came back, do I really belong here? Keanu was already on set. When she arrived, he was doing quiet breathing exercises in the corner, something he always did to center himself. He looked up, saw her face, and knew something was off. He didn't ask right away. Instead, he handed her a cup of warm ginger tea and said, "You look like you didn't sleep." Anna took it slowly. "Didn't feel like I earned rest." "Jew." "Don't have to earn it," he said. "You just have to allow it." She tried to smile, but her eyes stayed heavy. Keanu didn't push. He simply said, "Let's do the scene. Sometimes the story knows how to carry us." The scene they were rehearsing was emotional. Her character was supposed to break down after losing everything. The script had only a few lines. Most of it relied on silence, on presence. As the cameras rolled, Anna stepped into the moment. But something broke. It wasn't acting. Real tears came, too many to hold back. Her shoulders trembled. The words wouldn't come. The director called cut, but no one moved. Anna sat on the floor, her arms wrapped around herself, breathing unevenly. She wasn't crying because of the scene. She was crying because, for a moment, she believed she was replaceable. Keanu walked over slowly. He just sat beside her, not touching, not speaking. They stayed that way for a while. Then he said quietly, "When I was 23, I was almost dropped from a film because they thought I was too quiet. not loud enough to lead. Anna looked up, startled. "What happened?" she asked. "I stayed anyway," he said. "I did my job. I let the work speak," the audience decided. He turned to her. Sometimes people in charge forget that hearts don't follow charts. That evening, the director asked to see Anna privately. She stepped into the office. Her heart beat loud in her chest. The director looked tired. "Anna, there's talk happening. Upstairs, budget cuts, outside pressure." She nodded slowly, but, "I'm telling you this because I believe in you," he continued. "And Keanu does too. I'm fighting for you to stay. We both are." Anna's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet," he said. "Just be ready. Might have to fight for it too." The next day, Anna returned to set early. But this time, she wasn't hiding her fear. She brought it with her. Let it fuel her. She asked for an extra rehearsal. No cameras. Just her and the stage. Keanu watched from the shadows. Anna walked through. Each scene not for approval, but for herself. She let her voice crack when it wanted to. She didn't force perfection. She offered honesty, and when she finished, she stood there in the center of the stage, still, breathing. Everyone around the room was silent. Keanu stepped out from the back. He started to clap, slowly, with intention. Soon, the assistant director, the lighting tech, the makeup artist, the woman who handled catering, not out of sympathy, out of truth. Later that night, Anna got a call. The studio had signed off. She was staying, but they wanted to know one thing. How did a lesser-known actress draw such strong support from the crew? The answer came in a simple message from Keanu to the studio executive. She doesn't just act. She carries the story when no one's watching. On her way home, Anna passed by the same boutique where the dress once hung. It was gone now. In its place was a new gown. Fancier. Shinna paused. For a moment she stared, but then she smiled, shook her head, and walked on, because she had already found what she needed. A week later, the press picked up a photo from set Anna and Keanu sitting on the floor between takes, laughing quietly. The headline read, "Two souls, one story." And deep down, Anna knew. Storms don't ask permission to show up, but neither do the ones who survive them. Asterisk, asterisk. Kindness isn't loud, but at Akiza a few weeks passed, and the film's production moved into its most intense phase. The days were long, the lights hot, and every emotion had to be real. Nay's role had become heavier, deeper. Some scenes left her shaking after each take. But now, something inside her had changed. She no longer questioned whether she belonged. She was there to serve the story, and she was ready for every moment. But not everyone around her shared that peace. A cold morning just before sunrise, Anna arrived on set early. She liked the silence before the rush. The trailers were still dark. Only a few crew members were around, prepping equipment. She noticed a girl sitting near the corner of the lot, hugging her knees. It was Lila, the youngest intern on set. She was quiet, barely spoke to anyone, always carried a sketchbook with her. Anna walked over gently. "Hey," she said softly, not to startle her. "You okay?" Lila wiped her eyes quickly and tried to smile. "I'm fine, just tired." Anna sat down beside her. There was a long pause before Lila whispered, "I messed up yesterday. I gave the wrong prop cue. The director got mad. Now, they're saying I might get replaced." Anna listened carefully. She didn't say, "Don't worry." She didn't lie to make her feel better. She just said, "Tell me what you love most about this job." Lila blinked. "What?" "The first thing that made you want to be here," Anna said. Lila hesitated, then said, "I saw behind the scenes photos once from a movie that changed my life. I thought, someone helped make that magic happen. I wanted to be one of those someones." Anna smiled. "Then that's who you are, not just the mistake you made yesterday." They sat together for a moment, the sky turning soft orange above them. Keanu arrived just as the crew began assembling. He saw Anna and Lila sitting quietly. The way he once saw Anna sitting alone before her table read. He nodded, not interrupting. That afternoon, the director called for a difficult, emotional scene. Anna had to confront her character's father, played by a veteran actor known for his intensity. The script required anger, pain, regret, all delivered in one continuous shot. Everyone on set went silent as the camera rolled. Anna stepped into the light. Her eyes met the older actors, and for a moment, the entire room disappeared. She delivered her lines like she was breathing her own truth. When the director finally called cut, there was silence. Then a slow round of applause. Keanu, standing near the corner, gave her a quiet nod. She didn't need more than that. Later that day, as Anna returned to her trailer, she found a folded piece of paper tucked under her script. She opened it. Inside was a sketch. It was her, in the blue dress, standing under a soft light. Drawn with pencil strokes so gentle it felt like memory, at the bottom it read, "Thank you for seeing me." Liliana held the drawing close to her chest for a long moment. The days that followed brought more pressure. Tabloids began to spin stories. Is Anna ready for stardom? Keanu's secret mentorship? Behind-the-scenes romance? None of it was true. And yet people wanted a story. Anna found herself shrinking from the noise. She wasn't used to attention for the wrong reasons. She missed the quiet rehearsals, the early morning sun, the feeling of disappearing into a role without headlines chasing her. One night, she stayed late to practice alone. When she walked out of the studio, she saw Keanu by his car. He was leaning on the hood, eyes on the sky. "You okay?" he asked as she approached. "I don't know anymore," she said honestly. "I'm doing everything I can, but it's like the noise out there keeps trying to rewrite who I am." Keanu nodded slowly. "They tried that with me too," he said. "Called me emotionless. Said I was wooden, even said I was too kind to be a real actor." Anna looked at him in disbelief. "Too kind," he smiled. "Apparently kindness makes people suspicious." Anna let out a tired laugh. "That's sad." "Maybe," he said, "but we keep showing up anyway. We keep being who we are." He paused. "Kindness isn't loud, Anna, but it echoes." Those words stayed with her the whole night. A few days later, during a quiet lunch break, Leela approached Anna with a shy smile. "I got to stay," she said. "The director gave me another chance." Anna smiled. "That's because you're good at what you do. I also think it's because someone believed in me when I didn't," Lila said. Anna reached for her hand gently. "Then make sure you pass that forward. Someone out there will need you the same way." The last scene of the film was scheduled for the coming week. Emotions ran high. The story was nearing its end, and so was something else. Keanu received a message from a close friend. A child at a hospital he quietly supported was entering a critical phase. He didn't tell anyone on set. He just made arrangements to fly out after the last shoot. He never made things about himself, but Anna noticed the change in his energy. Quieter than usual? A little heavier? She didn't ask. She simply walked up to him during a break and placed something in his hand, the sketch that Lila had given her. She had folded it carefully and written a note on the back. Some echoes. Start small, but they reach farther than we ever see. Keanu read it. His eyes softened, and he nodded. As the final week of shooting approached, Anna prepared for her last major scene. The dress would be used one final time, symbolizing her character's transformation. As she put it on in the dressing room, she didn't see just fabric. She saw a journey, one filled with doubt, heartbreak, healing, and silent kindness. And when she stepped onto the set, the lights didn't feel harsh anymore. They felt like home. Asterisk, asterisk. The night no one saw coming, the studio lot was unusually quiet that evening. It was the last day of filming. Everyone had been talking about it for weeks, how this final scene would bring everything together. The emotion, the silence, the healing. It wasn't just the end of the story in the film. It felt like an ending for everyone involved. The set was dressed like a quiet train station. Dim lights, cold colors, A wooden bench in the center. Anna's character would be leaving behind everything that once hurt her, and finally walk into her new life. Anna stepped onto set wearing the blue dress. It looked different now, not newer, not older, just ... deeper. Like it had lived 100 quiet moments with her. Her eyes scanned the space, and then she saw Keanu. He was already in place. Sitting on the bench, he looked up and smiled, soft, knowing she sat beside him. No words yet, just breath. The director gave a small signal. The cameras rolled. Anna's character wasn't supposed to cry in this scene. She was supposed to smile, take one deep breath, and walk away strong, quiet, resolved. But as she sat beside Keanu, looking into the distance, something rose inside her chest. A weight, a memory, not from the script, from her own life. Every no she had heard. Every time she stood outside a glass window, dreaming. Every person who told her she was almost good enough. And every small kindness that kept her from giving up. The tears came. Softly. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just real. Keanu didn't break character. Simply reached out and gently touched her hand. Not written in the script, but deeply true. The director didn't yell cut. He just let the moment live. Anna finally stood up, walked slowly across the set, and disappeared through the back door, just like her character was meant to. When the door closed behind her, the director said one word. Cut. Silence followed. Then applause. But Keanu sat still, his eyes lowered. He knew something else was coming. Hours later, after wrap-up and celebration, most of the cast and crew went home. Laughter echoed down the lot. People hugged, exchanged numbers, promised to stay. In touch, Anna stayed back to clean her dressing space. She folded the blue dress carefully, her fingers running over the seams, and that's when she got the call. Keanu had quietly left for the hospital during wrap-up. The child he supported. Her name was Eliza, had taken a turn. She was just 8. She had written him letters after every movie. He never told anyone outside the hospital, never wanted credit. But he always showed up. Anna stood still, phone in hand, heart pounding the next morning. She walked into the hospital. Lobby with flowers. Keanu was sitting by the window, a soft blanket over his lap. He looked tired but calm. He smiled when he saw her. "How did you know where to find me?" he asked gently. "Someone told me," she replied, not with words. They sat together in silence. A nurse walked by and smiled. "You're Anna, right? Eliza always talks about you, says you remind her of hope." Anna felt her throat tighten. "Can I meet her?" Keanu nodded. Right. Elisa's room was filled with hand-drawn posters, stars on the walls, and movie stills taped above her bed. She was small, pale, but her eyes lit up when she saw Keanu and Anna walk in. "You're really here," she whispered. Anna smiled. "Had to meet the girl who keeps all these stars alive." They talked for half an hour about movies, about dreams, about blue dresses, and how kindness doesn't need a microphone. When they said goodbye, Elisa whispered, "Can I ask you something?" "Nah." Leaned close. "Can you wear the dress when the movie comes out?" Anna nodded. "Yes, I promise." Later that day, Keanu and Anna sat quietly in the hospital garden. The sun was setting. Warm light filled the space between them. Anna looked at him and said, "You never told anyone." "It wasn't about telling," he said. "It was about showing." "Up! You always do that," she whispered. Keanu looked at her with quiet eyes. "So do you?" A few days later, Anna was invited to speak at a film school. Future actors. Young voices full of fear and fire. She stood in front of them and told a story. Not about fame. Not about scenes. But about the day she couldn't afford a dress. Someone made a silent phone call. About how that moment carried her through rejection. Whispers and doubt. And how kindness, quiet, unannounced, unseen, built her entire future. The students clapped. Some cried. But one young man in the back raised his hand. "How do you know if you really belong?" he asked. Anna paused, then said, "Because even when no one claps, you still show up. That's how you know." That evening, Keanu texted her one line. Eliza smiled all day. "Thank you," Anna replied. "She reminded me who I am. Thank you." The premiere was now only weeks away, and this time, Anna didn't look at the dress as a symbol of pretending. It was proof that someone believed in her before the world did. She stood taller, walked slower, and carried more than fabric. She carried the echo of every quiet kindness that shaped her. The dress, the light, and everything in between. Night of the premiere arrived like a slow sunrise. It didn't rush, crept into the hearts of everyone who had worked on the film. The city lights blurred into gold as guests arrived one by one at the Grand Theater. Cameras flashed. Voices called out names. Excitement floated in the air like music. Anna stood in her hotel room, staring at the blue dress laid out on the bed. She touched it gently, as if it were fragile. Like a piece of her old self, she was now ready to meet again. The team had prepared a custom gown for her. Something new, something trending. But she had refused. This was the dress she would wear, not because of how it looked, but because of what it held. Every word unsaid, every tear she had swallowed, every time. She chose not to give up. She slipped into the dress quietly. No stylists, no flashes. It's just her and the mirror, and a note she had taped to the wall months ago. "You belong here. Don't forget that." Outside the theater, a soft cheer rose when the car door opened. Anna stepped out. The crowd went silent. For a moment, not because of what she wore, but because of how she wore it. With courage, with history, Keanu was already there, waiting near the red carpet entrance. He wore a simple black suit, no jewelry, no ego, just presence. When Anna reached him, he offered his hand. She took it. They didn't pose for long. They didn't speak to every camera. They just walked together like two people who had survived. Something quietly powerful inside. The theater lights dimmed. The film began. Scene after scene played on the screen. The audience laughed, cried, held their breath. But when the final scene arrived, the one where Anna walked away in the blue dress, the entire room fell into silence. And when the credits rolled, people stood. Not all at once, but slowly, like something sacred had been shared. After the screening, a private dinner was held for the cast and crew. All stories were shared. Hands were shaken. New projects discussed. Anna found herself standing near the corner of the room, holding a small glass of water, watching people move like waves. Keanu walked up beside her. "You were brilliant," he said. "So were you," she replied. They stood together for a moment, not needing to say much. Then Anna reached into her purse and handed him a folded piece of paper. "What's this?" he asked. "Eliza drew something," she said. "She wanted you to have it." He opened it carefully. It was a sketch of two figures standing on a stage, surrounded by tiny stars. Both were holding hands. Above them, in small, careful letters, it read, "Thank you for showing up." Keanu stared at it for a long time. Then he folded it gently and placed it in his jacket. "She's doing better," he said quietly. "They might let her go home next week." Anna smiled, eyes shining. A few weeks later, Anna received a small package. Inside was a photo. A young girl standing in front of her home, holding a plush toy, smiling wide, wearing a blue dress. Not the same one, a child's version. Attached was a short note written in block letters. "I wore this to my doctor's visit. And I told them, I belong here too." Anna pressed the photo to her heart. As the awards season approached, Anna's name was whispered more and more. Nominations, interviews, headlines, but none of it compared to the quiet moments. Like walking past the boutique one day and seeing another young woman standing outside, staring at a dress. Anna paused, crossed the street, and stood beside her. They didn't speak, but Anna reached into her bag, wrote something on a piece of paper and handed it to the girl. Then she walked away. The girl unfolded it. It said, "You belong. Here, don't forget that." Months later, when Anna stood on stage to accept her first award, she didn't speak about the fame or the film. Instead, she said this: "This dress was once behind glass. I stood outside and told myself I couldn't afford it. Someone believed in me quietly without asking anything in return. And that moment changed everything. She paused. So, if you're out there right now, standing behind a glass window of your own, I hope someone shows up for you too. In the back row, Keanu sat watching, his hands folded, his eyes warm. He never took credit, never needed thanks. But in that room, filled with applause and lights, the loudest thing was still the silence of his kindness, and it echoed far beyond the theater, just like it always had.